right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. Over the weekend, of course, there was a terrible attack in Bondi Beach where it looks like 15 were killed, including a 10-year-old girl. It was a targeted attack by jihadists targeting Jews in Bondi Beach. And we wanted to bring in Yael Eckstein because she's the president and global CEO of IFCJ, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, to just explain what this terrible attack has meant to our Jewish friends and worldwide, and what's being done about it. So, Yael, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Yeah. So just give us your first impressions when you heard this. I mean, obviously, after October 7th, everybody's on heightened alert anywhere in the world, actually, Jewish communities all over the world. When you see this stuff play out, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is Charlie Kirk and all the terror attacks that we've seen based on hatred that are directed not only towards Jews, but towards Christians as well. And what it makes me realize is that this evil and hatred is not something from the history books of the past, but it's something that we're dealing with today. So as I light my Hanukkah menorah on this holiday, and I was just in New York City and I saw the Christmas trees all out in the public squares, it makes me recognize that we need to stand together, those of us who sanctify life, against this hatred against Jews and Christians around the world, in order to bring more light into the world. Because as we see from Christmas and from Hanukkah, the answer to darkness is light, that we have to get together and do more good deeds, bring more love to one another. And I've seen after October 7th how the fellowship has provided over 6 million meals to people who are hungry. We've placed thousands of bomb shelters. We've gone into Syria to help the persecuted Christians with setting up a medical clinic and distributing food boxes. That, Andrew, when I see this darkness, it just inspires me to bring more light.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, I know that's what you guys in some ways have. I mean, these are clarifying moments for the fellowship because you're able to say, what can we do to help? What can we do to bring care, whether that's physical needs, or emotional, spiritual? Have you been in touch, Yael, with anybody on the ground in Australia? Have you heard from this community directly? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so the fellowship helps provide security for Jewish institutions that are at risk around the world, including in Australia. And what we see here is what I think is a heroic response to darkness and terror. And again, it's very similar to what happened after the assassination of Charlie. We saw people coming out now with anger, not burning tires, not pulling down flags, but coming out with love, coming out with respect for one another, singing together, recognizing the only answer to hatred is to stand together in love. And that's what we're seeing in Australia. They went out, the Jewish community today, and there were so many Christians who stood with them back to Bondi Beach to light the menorah. They all went to their houses of worship without being scared, without cowarding. And they said, we are going to spread the light of God into this world. No terrorist is going to stop us. And that's the message that I think is more relevant now than ever, as we see Christians being persecuted, as we see Jews being targeted, as we see churches being blown up, and from America to Syria, to across Africa, and Jews no longer being safe. The message I hear from God is now is the time to stand together. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good and how pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in peace. It's the only way that we are going to get through these very dark days.
Yeah, that's well said, Yael. And you know, it's interesting. I'm just looking at some reporting here, and it's like the Australian government and the ASIO, which is the Australian Security Intelligence Organization, they were aware of heightened threats to the Jewish community. They raised the national terrorism threat level to probable in August of 2024. Anti-Semitic attacks surged in Australia post-October 2023. Over 2,000 incidents in 2024, 1,600 in 2025, and including arson on synagogues and graffiti. And Jewish leaders had been pleading with local government officials, and warning them of insufficient action. Are you concerned about that, that the message is still not getting through to protect some of these synagogues, these Jewish communities, wherever they may be in the larger diaspora?
You know, Andrew, if there's one thing that I've seen since October 7th, with these attacks on the Jewish community and the attacks on the Christian community, like I said, around the world, is that we can't rely on the governments to protect us. The governments have allowed, from Australia to what we saw post October 7th in America, what we're seeing today in Europe, the jihadists are speaking out with hatred and calling for a global intifada. This is what a global intifada looks like. And they're not being stopped. If there's one thing that I've realized, it's that we have to hold the governments accountable. We have to call the governments out to do whatever they can to protect Jews and Christians and religious institutions across America, across Australia, across Europe, everywhere in the free world. But we also can't use that as a scapegoat. We can't sit behind our screens in self righteous anger calling for the governments to do more. We have to do more. We have to do whatever we can. We have to go out and stand together. And like I said, through the fellowship, I see what's possible when the grassroots gets together. Since October 7th, we've had flights of Aliyah rescuing Jews from all four corners of the earth where they're facing persecution and bringing them home to Israel. We've seen Holocaust survivors who are getting food boxes in the middle of wars and rockets attacks. We're going into Syria where it's dangerous for us in order to provide for the persecuted Christians there. And we're only able to do this because there are millions of Jews and Christians around the world who aren't only speaking out in anger against the governments, but also taking whatever action they can in order to bring comfort and love and light to one another. Because the answer to darkness, especially during this holiday season, is to bring more light.
Yeah, well said. And it's tragic that this happened at Hanukkah, the first day, I believe, of the celebration in Bondi Beach. Give us a lay of the land, and thank you for always being so uplifting. By the way, there was like a lot of dark news over the weekend, Yael. So you're always so. You bring such a positive energy to this, and I know that's rooted in your faith. I I want to just take our eyes back to Israel just briefly. Since the peace had been established, what is the vibe on the ground there? How are people feeling? Is it optimistic? Is it contentious? Just want a temperature check.
Well, there's an amazing resilience that you see in Israel. When I remember I was in Tel Aviv at a dinner meeting and the sirens went off and there were rockets from Yemen that were being launched directly where I was. And everyone in the restaurant immediately got up and went down to the bomb shelter together. And within 10 minutes, we were back in the restaurant after the rocket was intercepted. And it was as if nothing happened. That in Israel, we have this incredible ability to find joy and faith within the hardships. Even in the year after October 7th, Israel was voted the seventh happiest country in the world.
No kidding.
And so we are, yeah, we're both optimistically happy and excited for the opportunity for peace and hoping for more agreements like the Abraham agreements that will bring a new reality to all the people of the Middle East. And we're also very cautious that we know we're dealing with lots of terror groups from Syria to Egypt to Iran to Gaza that haven't been eliminated. Their people haven't been freed yet. And so we're hopeful that Israel will have peace, that the people, the Muslims who are being held hostage by their own governments and terror groups will be freed and enjoy freedom and equality like we do here in Israel. And we're just standing strong in prayer that God promises good days will be ahead. We know his promises for Israel. He says Israel is forever. Israel ultimately, together with the free world, good always wins over bad. And I just pray that the end of darkness is here already.
Well, we appreciate. I actually didn't know that you guys provide security for these synagogues and Jewish communities across the world. That's a really powerful thing that you're contributing to. IFCJ.org. Yeah, it's so good to see you, and thank you for speaking light into the darkness today. We could use more of that. All
Thank
right,
you
God
for
bless you.
everything you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Yael. Talk to you soon.